Hey, everybody. I am here with three of our Relentless agents who are technically kind of in the newer agent space. All three of you are still officially in Connect, or actually, Nicole recently graduated earlier this fall. But super excited to sit down with the three of you guys because you have really attained a level of success very early on in your business that many agents aspire to get to at any point in their career. And since we're all about helping new agents launch successful real estate businesses, I thought it would be awesome to talk to you three about kind of what you have done right out of the gate to get there. So, that level of success I'm talking about is you're all three made it into Golden Circle within your first couple of years of real estate. So, yay, that's pretty awesome. And Nicole, you're actually kind of the veteran in this group. So, why don't you kick us off and kind of tell us a little bit about what that was like for you, when that happened, and kind of what it took you to get there?
Yeah, it's a lot of work. I mean, it's a high bar, and I think it's something like a lot of agents, like you mentioned, in our company really strive to because it's a reward in a lot of ways. But it I'm a firm believer in this business. It is what you make of it, and the work that you put in will pay dividends. And it may not be with a deal the next day. Sometimes it's a long game, and I knew that kind of going in. But yeah, for me, we obviously start connect with like the 100 days of greatness. We want to take that within our first, few months in the company, and that gave me a good picture about what I needed to be doing with my time, especially when you first start, because you kind of get your license and you start and you're like, well, now what? And that was a really good benchmark for me. And then from there, I learned to just through five spokes that I do really well in the converter space. So then I moved a lot of my efforts into the converter space, and I realized the more people I can get in front of, the more opportunities that I have, and that worked really well for me. So
Awesome.
that
I love that because you're saying things that we all talk about. You know, we talk about our agent archetypes and our spokes and 100 days to greatness, and it's one thing to talk about it; it's another thing to actually do it. And I mean, you guys are evidence of what doing actually does. And so, I want to focus in a little bit on that with the converter space. So, when you so other ladies, be thinking about your own archetypes because I want you to share a little bit about this too. But since we're on this, Nicole, you said that kind of surprised you a little bit. What did you think you maybe were before you realized your gifts in that area?
I'm not really sure. Maybe more like I don't even want to say marketer, but I think there's can be a negative connotation with converters. So I think that sometimes I didn't want to be associated. But then the more I learned about it and the more I realized, I said, no, I'm not like it's not like I'm not a door knocker. I don't knock
Mhm.
on people's doors. That's not part of it. These are all people that raised their hand and said, hey, I wanna buy a house. And great, I want to help you through that process. And so I can get in front of them and help them accomplish what they've already contacted me and set out to do. And so I'm really good at the process and helping people kind of round the bases, like we talk about. So
Just
that
kind of
that
moving
was good for me.
along. I think that's a
Mhm.
huge part of it is the follow-up. And you mentioned Buffini, and we'll probably talk a little bit more about that, but a huge part of Buffini is that follow-up and that contact plan. So that's a
Mhm.
huge part of it. Erica or Olivia, both of you at some point chime in and tell us, what do you guys think in terms of your agent archetype? And along the similar lines, what did it take for you in your business to kind of get to that point of some momentum picking up and crossing that threshold into the level of sales that you're at currently?
Yeah, I think, similar to what Cole was saying, it can be kind of a slow and steady wins the race type thing, like, you can't really expect it to just happen overnight, you do have to put in the work to make it, and I think that Buffini really goes hand in hand with that, sometimes if you sign up for, like, the fall session, your spring success is made in those times where it seems completely dead, so I think that along with the foundations that Century 21 encourage us as agents to establish really helps to build that toolbox so that you're ready for when it comes along because it doesn't always happen immediately. In terms of my um, archetype. I think that I am more of a networker. When you first start, you're kind of just grasping at straws, just seeing whatever comes at you. I'll make it work. Be it the e-leads or just open houses, whatever you can do. But I think really just being involved in different circles in my community has really been a great tool for me. And I think that uh, as an agent, I've learned to put myself in circles that fill my cup at the same time, so to not get burnt out, but also, get in front of people like Nicole said that you can help reach their goals while also doing things that you enjoy.
Yeah, and I think that's the beauty of this business, and that's really, our approach right out of the gate is figure out who you are in terms of your archetype, because a lot of that filters into what you enjoy and how you want to run your business. And maybe we don't all start there right out of the gate. In fact, I don't know anybody who does. Um, but both of you have now said it is a business where you get out of it what you put into it. It is hard work, and so laying that groundwork is key, because maybe right out of the gate you do have to do some of those e-leads and you're really seeing yourself as a networker, but you're honing in on those skills, you're putting in the reps, you're building relationships, creating that tribe of advocates, because there are a lot of converters or a lot of networkers in our walls, I think, who start with converting some cold leads, and then those people are like their friends and they're their tribe and they're their people that are coming on the trolley ride with them this winter. At least that's my people anyway. So yeah,
Right.
for sure. How about you, Erica?
I think for me it was a slow start, and then but once I committed to it, I really got picking up when getting in front of my people, and I did 100 Days of Greatness, just like you guys did too. But that really taught me a lot of things in order to succeed and get in front of everybody the way I needed to. I'm more of a warm handoff, so I'm a networker. I'm a small town. So I know a lot of people. So Travis and I have kind of been involved for years. So it really kind of helps me. I mainly use my SOI for as my business. They're my clients. They're the ones that I know. So,
Mhm.
um, but other than that, I really enjoy, being involved with the community. So I think that helps too. Just getting out there. I think that's the biggest part for me.
Yeah, I think it's a lot of conversations, a lot of staying in front of people, staying top of mind, all of those things that we talk about in and through Connect and in our company walls, as far as staying in front of people, staying in the path of business. You mentioned right away there that it was kind of a slow start for you, and I know a
Yeah.
little bit more of the backstory, but um, we don't have to go into the whole backstory, but I think some of that was juggling some other work, right? And so maybe
Yeah. Yeah.
glimpse into what was going on there, and maybe if there's any encouragement you can give to newbies, because there are a lot of agents who are starting out that are trying to transition away from uh, a job or the working world to do this full time. And so what did that look like for you?
Yeah, so I pretty much first probably 9 months that I was licensed, I was a pharmacy manager as well. So I managed a pharmacy. So that took away, about 32 hours of my week. And I was trying to do both, and that just, it wasn't getting anywhere at that point. So at that point, I knew I needed to commit to it. So then I started stepping back from the pharmacy position. I handed over the manager job to somebody else. Every now and then I still fill in just to keep my feet wet with pharmacy, but I do think it was the commitment to becoming a full-time real estate agent that really set things going in for my job or for the real estate profession for me. So
Yeah, and I think that is important for people to hear, because not everybody is in a position right out of the gate where they are 100% able to be completely all in. Ideally, I mean, we would love that, and I think agents themselves would love to be able to do that. But there's this thing called bills that we all have, right? And so we try to piece it together and figure it out. I know for me, it was, I had an emergency fund saved up. And it really wasn't an emergency necessarily, but it was like, okay, I'm using this to transition into doing this real estate thing full time. And I found other ways to bring in some money. I was donating plasma. I was bartending weddings at a venue on Saturday nights. It wasn't glamorous, but it was hard work, and it was sacrifices that needed to be made in order to really give this thing a go. Because I think one of the things that we all agree on is it does take time. And I've heard hard work lots of times throughout already. But Nicole and Olivia, tell me a little bit about kind of that, where you guys stood, because you guys actually both kind of were all in right out of the gate, right? Was that
Yeah.
scary?
Yeah, it was scary. I mean, I left a full-time job that, paid a salary and I got paid the same amount every month, and that was great. But when you're jumping into something, it is really scary. But for me, I think I needed that because I don't know that I would have devoted the time, at least the time during the hours that I needed to, of the day that I needed to. But I do think that that's the best way to make it this career successful, is to just kind of take a leap of faith, to be honest.
Yeah. No, love that. How about you, Olivia?
I
You were in
actually
college,
started.
actually, right?
What's that?
You were in college still, actually, when you got licensed, right?
Yeah, I actually started the week after I graduated high school and was still doing college at the same time. So I was trying to spin a lot of just, I don't know, a lot of online hybrid plates and still find like the self discipline of, I don't have bills. I was a 18-year-old kid still living at home, but also still finding the motivation of, time blocking, of actually doing the steps and implementing them. Um, just that accountability. And I think that one of the biggest struggles for me was getting other people to take a chance on me as a young kid. Not everybody wants their biggest transaction of their entire life to be handled by an 18-year-old kid, which is totally understandable. But
Yeah.
that was the biggest transition factor for me, I would say.
Sure. And you're not alone in that. Actually, earlier this week in Buffini, there's 3 young agents in our class right now that were talking about that same kind of challenge. And I think, it is an extra hurdle when you are perceived as, just a kid, because literally people in your SOI might be your parents' friends, right? So,
Yes, it's so surreal.
yeah. Well, that's
For
awesome.
sure.
So thinking through kind of what this last year, 2 years have looked like for each of you, is there a point in that time where you can identify maybe like a turning point, or when the traction started to pick up, or some sort of like, when did that momentum start to take shape, and what do you attribute that to?
I think for me, it was committing to it. First of all, I had to commit to the profession. But second of all, I went through 100 Days of Greatness, and that was my turning point. Honestly, I got in front of my people. I let them know that this is what I'm doing now, and so I think that really was my turning point. I had a friend reach out to me, a former boss reach out to me to sell their houses, and then it just kind of took off from there. So,
Yeah, it starts to snowball in a way,
hmm
and that's exactly what Buffini says it will do. And through that system, with the critical mass and the stacking effect of all the different communications, staying in front of people. And it's interesting because I've heard agents say, "Well, this lead came out of nowhere." They actually didn't. They came out of the calls, the notes, the pop buys, the staying in front of people, the reaching out, the lunches, the breakfast. It's the long game for sure, but it does start to take shape. How about you, Nicole? Was there a turning point for you?
Yeah, I mean, mine would probably just have to be just the joining Jason's team, because he's probably like he is the best at what probably my archetype is, and just getting the training that I got, the opportunities that I have with how our business model is structured, just really changed things. And it's not just the necessarily like, oh, I got leads and I was able to. It's more the fact that I got more sales under my belt, and that made me a lot more confident. And then it allowed me to grow, my own business too, because then I felt more comfortable and more confident. People around me could see I was selling houses. So, your friends or people in your SOI, they are more likely. It doesn't even matter your age necessarily. When they know you're green and you're new in real estate, there is a hesitation for someone to want to say, I'm gonna hire you to sell my house and to buy this $500,000 house with for me. That's a big trust factor.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, it was really just getting those sales under my belt, broadcasting that out and saying, "Hey, look, I'm doing well. I've sold 10 houses," and it kind of snowballed and spiraled from there. But yeah, I think that it was probably just the switching teams just to get things really going.
Yeah, I mean, through that business model that your guys' team executes, you have been able to put in the reps to then really grow it into your SOI, which I know was a part of your initial efforts. And so it
Yeah.
sounds like just getting that practice in definitely helps all of us as agents exude confidence. I think the more we do something, the more confident we sound and honestly are. So yeah. How about you, Olivia? Any turning points or when that traction kind of started to take shape for you?
Yeah, I think that the confidence and the comfort level and just the overall mindset is huge. Like the first year and a half, mine was probably about like going into my second year, and I felt like I was floundering. Like I was so frustrated with not knowing what in the world I was doing, what I was talking about, and I just think that I was able to get in contact with Century 21 and get equipped with the tools and the people that were able to help coach me and encourage me. And that was huge because, that first year, it's gruesome. Sometimes it isn't glamorous and you're in the trenches. And I think just the overall time factor too of just getting used to the conversations, getting used to the fact that you kind of feel like you're on a seesaw the first couple years, and just kind of rolling with that, like embrace the nature of it instead of trying to fight it. Like it's a new thing every day. You see stuff, I'm sure, years in that you're still like, okay, what in the world is this? Just embrace it,
Mhm.
and quit trying to fight the roller coaster nature of it.
Yeah, I think that's good advice. And, one of the things that you said there was about the mindset and how important that is. And so I'm curious to know, like, what has that looked like for each of you? I mean, I can relate. I've been licensed 4.5 years, so I'm not too many steps ahead of you in this space as a real estate agent. And I remember that first year, especially that how I'm in over my head. Everybody else is so smart. Why would anybody want to hire me to help them with this several $100,000 transaction? It's easy to get in your head and kind of spiral. And so I'm curious. I know I'm not alone in that, but I'm curious what your guys' journeys have looked like in terms of mindset as you're getting through these first couple years and launching your businesses.
At first, for me, it was hard because I think I had a very like negative mindset. Like it was like I felt like I needed every little person I met. If I didn't sell them a house, I was not going to make it in real estate. So I was very much like that mindset, and it was negative, and that does not help you when you're working with clients and you're genuinely trying to help them. And then one of the other ones was probably like that I struggled with was even like a scarcity mindset, which is super common whenever you're first in real estate. And I think just the time, like I needed time to in the business to realize that's not doing me any good because there's always going to be more people wanting to buy and sell and more opportunities. And we always say like when one of our like people that we're working with, we're no longer working with them, or it just didn't work out, we didn't get the house. It's just like, okay, next.
Mm-hmm.
We just always need to be looking to the next and not dwelling in that moment. So I think once you kind of get past that, you really start to succeed, and just learning how to keep a positive mindset and not letting like losing one client or losing a deal like get in your head and affect anybody in the future. So it's
Yeah,
just
throw in the towel. Well, I failed. I tried. Yeah, it's easy to kind of spiral like that. But I think you're so right about that negativity not being fruitful. And I think so much of that is what we consume, who we surround ourselves with. I mean, I'm personally so thankful to be in a brokerage where we are focused on mindset and positivity, and because this business is hard. And so sometimes you just need a little pep talk, you need a vent session and move on and help your next clients. And that's a part of kind of that roller coaster that you were talking about, Olivia. What about the others of you? What's mindset been like in these first couple years?
I guess I think for me it was a tough transition from my previous career to this career. So it's more just growing that confidence for me was a struggle. It was a little slow.
Mhm.
Um, but it was just you have great support here, great training. I think that really makes a big difference when you have the people around you that you do. And that really, you need that support as a new agent too. So if you know where to go, if you know who can help you, if you have the questions, and I think we have that here. So
Yeah,
that's
yeah, for sure.
that's really helped me. Yeah.
Yeah. Anything else you would want to add on mindset, Olivia? I know you kind of brought it up, but want to give you the opportunity.
I think mine's a combo of I don't know, but I know somebody who does. Learning to lean into the chain of there's good help here. I mean, there really is. There's just great tools, great people that are willing to help you. Don't be scared to ask. Don't be too proud to ask either. It's okay. And that I think the other one for me was it was a specific moment. I was at one of the hardest deals I've ever closed in my life to date.
First 6 months, feeling like, holy cow.
And I was at the closing table and I was just in tears. It was a
Mm,
mess. It was horrible. And the closing agent looked at me and he's like, "Liv, you're getting your elephant skin, but don't lose your empathy." So I
mm,
think balancing, like Nicole said, sometimes you're not going to win every client. Sometimes there's going to be ones that get a little crunchy. This is a very high emotional process. It's
mhm.
Sometimes it can be tough. Sometimes you are getting the brunt of emotion. So I think, toughen up, buttercup, but also don't lose the ability to feel empathy for your people. Like, understand what they're going through and also understand, like, it's not your fault if they decide to take it out on you sometimes.
Right? That's so true. I love that. And it does require having thick skin in this business for sure. Um, and yeah, I definitely remember the first client that made me cry. I think we all have them, and if you have not yet, you will. And it's not a mark of your aptitude. I think that is what has been hard for me when you have those hard situations, deals, clients, or whatever, not to take it personal and like, okay, I'm a failure. Certain things, yeah, we might have to own. But also there's a lot of things that people are dealing with when going through a real estate transaction. So that empathy is so crucial. No, I love all of that. So let's get really practical here as we kind of wrap up our time. I am wondering if each of you have like what would be your one best piece of advice or one very practical thing, like what should every new agent be doing? What is a discipline or something that they can implement literally like tomorrow, that would make a change in their business? From your perspective, what would that one thing be? So whoever wants to jump in and share first, would love to hear that, and we'll just give each of you an opportunity.
I think mine is time blocking, but I don't know if that's not a huge thing, but it's just time blocking for me is what with all of our crazy schedules, my kids, with Travis, with everybody, it's a good thing to have. Even time blocking my workouts or whatever it is to get that in for the day. I just want to set my schedule and set it
Yeah,
early in
and
the
so
week.
not just business, but personal, like
Personal too.
literally,
Yep.
you know, because that's really what our lives are. It's, you want to have that balance. Most of us go into real estate because we want some sort of balance, freedom, flexibility. And if it's not on the calendar, it might not be happening. So time blocking for sure. Love that. How about you, Nicole?
I think just making a plan, like it was just kind of along the same lines, but like what's your plan for whether it's this week, this month, quarterly, yearly, and just kind of going through the list, like what are you doing to market yourself? Are you writing notes? Are you doing calls? Are you doing a pop by? And just kind of hitting those next steps. I just think that that's so important, because I think you can just get lost a little bit, and even like kind of like Erica alluded to, you get a little lost in the day. So,
Mm-hmm.
like a call, like you're going to do something and a call interrupts you. But like if you even just have like a bigger picture and you're doing those things, like for me, even just pop bys were big. It just got me in front of people and I didn't talk to them about real estate. I talked to them about life. And then they ask me how it's going, and just like, what are you doing for your business? And but I think you need to have a plan, and kind of know where you're going, and just execute that.
Yeah. And I think so often when agents come to me and say, oh, things aren't, really, I don't really have a lot going on. I don't know what to do. Usually my first question is, are you working your 5 spokes? And that is that plan. I mean, it is those action items. It's your lead generation plan. And so crucial, like if we want to be successful in this business, we got to have a plan. Absolutely. How about you, Olivia?
Yeah, I think I'm just gonna kind of echo everything everybody else said. Get hungry and stay hungry. I think if like with this 5 spokes, or if somebody puts on signature huddle, like, hey, I need an open house covered, there's opportunity. Lean into it and just get your feet wet, even if it's doing some job shadowing or covering inspections or showings. Get in there, get comfortable with the lingo, make connections, and that'll start you off.
Yeah, absolutely. Love it. Be hungry. Really, what I'm hearing is go after every opportunity. Have a plan, make time. I mean, those are all very, it might seem like a no brainer kind of thing, but if you can look in the mirror and honestly say, as a new agent, that you're doing those things and then wonder why business isn't happening, it just requires an honest look in the mirror sometimes and back to the basics. And so, love all of that. Awesome. Well, is there any final parting thoughts that any of you might have for our new agents? I mean, you guys are the veterans in our new agent crew that people look to. Like, holy cow, they're doing an awesome amount of business. I aspire to be that. Like, is it weird being in that space? Probably. Yeah, it
So
was a big celebration when Nicole hit Golden Circle last year because that you were like the first in that cohort, and now you two this year. That's pretty remarkable. So yeah, any parting words of wisdom from anybody?
oh, it can happen for you too. I think, dig in. It's possible. Just
Love
keep
it.
digging.
Awesome.
Yes.
All right. Well, thank you, ladies, so much for spending time with us, sharing your insights and your wisdom with our newbie crew. We are excited to celebrate the next round of agents who make it to Golden Circle. I'm sure there will be some in the coming years. So, everyone, have a good day.